Hello, everybody. I hope, welcome to Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, and it's welcome back to work. So let's take a look. Mornings with Michael is brought to you for information and educational purposes only, and we're not only in the mornings. So let's get it started. Share our screen here. We're missing one important screen that we're looking for. So we'll bring it back up. So here's the S&P 500 heat map. Looks a little lukewarm today. Things are cooling off. NVIDIA is kind of bouncing back. AMD is up. So the semiconductors are up slightly. Microsoft is up slightly. Amazon, we're going to take a look at that on a chart a little later. That looks good. And Walmart, Costco. So there you kind of see where the heat map is today. Not much movement on the indexes. And then here is our screen. I think that 85% of people should probably be in an annuity. The reason is you never lose money in an annuity, and it steps up, does not step down. Index investing bobs and weaves with the market. You can lose money. Over time, you will gain money, but you often sleep better knowing that you will not lose money. Your 401k will not turn into a 201k. So annuity average annual growth beats index annual growth by about 5%. And right now, annuities are giving bonuses of 40 to 45%. Not sure how long that will last since the bond yields are pulling back. So that's that about the annuities. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me. And let's bring up a chart. This is Carpenter Technology. Looks like had a sizzling buy earlier. We'll look at that a little later. But in the meantime, let's look at our dollar index. Continues to fall. Reached a high of 30.16 and has had a pretty strong pullback. We had one very similar over here, and then we had a big run. Let's take a look at gold. Gold continues to shine it with the dollar pulling back. So this would be a breakout, definitely a breakout over here. Volume, got some good volume here. A lot of buyers here, not so much here, but it's probably because of the holiday. And then over here, a lot of buying over here. We know a lot of countries are trying to prop up their currencies with buying gold. Silver. Look at that big gap up on silver. Question is, will it get up to 23.94 before it pulls back? We got a number of gap ups here. Got one over here, one over here, and one over here. Pretty good volume again today on silver as the dollar pulls back. Let's take a look at copper. This is our copper. We're not sure if this has hit bottom yet. Gap down. Tried to get back up here, pulled back after it's this 20-day moving average. Pretty good selling volume today, which is a scary sight. Let's look at Southern Copper. Huge move down there as well. I'm not sure if people are concerned with the economy softening. And Freeport-McMoRan is kind of holding steady. So we'll have to look a little bit more into Southern Copper's move, what's happening there. Our 10-year bond tried to move up. Friday moved up slightly, and now it's hit its 10-day sliding 10-day moving average, and it's got a big pullback today. Should have been a little better for indexes, but if people are starting to worry about a recession now, that's another worry to add to the market. It's concern. And here we got the 20-year, very similar action. Had a gap up and now strong move down. They both closed on their bottom. Something to be concerned about is a VIX being at really low levels. It did try to bounce today, but there's a sense of apathy, not enough worry in the market. Tend to want to have some worry in the market as it comes up. So these gaps over here, since this is an oscillating index, I had said before, will always fill those gaps. Can't tell when it will fill them, but eventually it will. S&P 500, maybe a slight pause, which could be useful. And here is the equal weighted S&P 500. Yeah, slightly down as well, but holding pretty firm. The NASDAQ looks about very similar to the S&P 500. The equal weighted NASDAQ about the same. Looks like it may be building a 1-week shelf. And here's a small cap Russell 2000. Got a pretty good channel here. Almost looks like a shelf pattern. See if that continues. Just pulled off a 0.33%. And the Dow Jones. So not too much moving on the indexes today. So let's take a look at what's happening in the news. China's industrial profit fell 7.8% on year, narrowing from 9% decline in the January to September period, said the Statistics Bureau. Adobe said Black Friday online sales in the U.S. reached a record 9.8 billion, a 7.5% year-over-year increase. Expects consumers to spend another 10 billion over the weekend and 12 billion on Cyber Monday, which is today. So we'll see how that all comes about. Online sales reached 70.9 billion globally, an 8% increase from Black Friday last year, according to data from Salesforce. Black Friday global online sales were 65.3 billion last year. Adobe estimated that a record 5.6 billion was spent online on Thursday, up 5.5% year over year. Shopify, which counts both online and offline sales from its merchants, said global sales increased 22% year over year to a record 4.1 billion. Take a look at Shopify. Looks like they're breaking out today at a double bottom. 67.70 would have been time to buy. Huge volume today. So they're reacting positively to that news. Foot Locker downgraded to sell from neutral at Citigroup with $18 target ahead of earnings. And not much reaction on that news. Freyr, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Frey Battery continues down. Announced reorganizational optimizations, including leadership changes intended to align resources with Frey's business priorities. Canadian Pacific downgraded to hold from buy, target 77 from 85, and that definitely sold off a lot today. Pretty big volume, so a lot of people moving out of that. Old Dominion downgraded to hold from buy, target 386 from previous target 475, gap down, tried to recover some. Canadian National also downgraded to hold from buy at Deutsche Bank. You got a huge move down and closed on the low. Pretty good sell volume, so that's not good. And Graphic Packaging downgraded to market perform from strong buy at Raymond James as it expects shares to remain range bound in the near term. It sold off and then bounced off of its 10-day moving average. Weyerhaeuser downgraded to market perform from strong buy at Raymond James as the firm reduced the timber real estate investment trust sector recommendation to market weight in conjunction with the rating downgrades to Weyerhaeuser and PotlatchDeltic. Take a look at that issue. And that did significantly worse, gap down, and then closed on the low for the day. Petrobras said it's terminated the contract to sell refinery located in the city of Fortaleza because of the lack of compliance by the buyer. And we got a slight pullback, close to 0.6% in financials. Affirm, big move on Affirm today, huge volume. That is a massive breakout there. We had a kind of a shelf pattern over here after we got cup pattern, and it is moving on up. Marquetta is pulling back a little bit, offers API platform, operates as a payment processor and card issuer worldwide. And Upstart up a little over 2.5%. Shoppers are relying more on flexible payment methods, also known as buy now, pay later. BNPL. Adobe noted that BNPL orders rose 72% week over week from November 18th to November 24th. And this type of revenue increased 47% in that period, Adobe said. On to healthcare. GSK says its blood cancer drug, Blenrep, has reached a key goal in late-stage trial as a drug when combined with an existing drug, bortezomib, I cannot pronounce this, bortezomib, plus steroid dexamethasone, significantly reduced the time before the disease progressed or the patients died in those suffering from relapsed or refractory multiple myeloma. GE Healthcare downgraded to sell from neutral at UBS and cut target 66 from $86 earlier, saying soft orders, tough comps, and lack of prices rising puts UBS estimates below 2024 estimates. Jazz Pharmaceuticals downgraded to neutral from buy at UBS and cut to $135 from $170, and it's continuing down over 3%. And Teva upgraded to buy from neutral at UBS, raised the target from $13 to $13 from $11. And we got a big move there, got a gap up and a move into the upper part of the range. Pretty good volume. And that's it in our news. I know we got one more in technology, media, and telecom. activist investor Elliott Investment Management has taken a more than $2 billion stake in Crown Castle and is expected to push for a change at the owner of wireless towers. Elliott plans to engage the company to try to boost its share price after accumulating this stake. And we got a gap up, closed on the bottom, but still up nearly 3.5%. Let's take a look at our ETFs. Financials, pausing like a lot of the indexes. Energy sold off hard and then tried to rally back. And we got oil prices pulling back. I think they're worried about a recession, slowdown in spending. Real estate is moving up as the bond yields continue to pull back. Biotech had a pullback and then try to bounce higher. IBB not doing quite as well as XBI. Our software take a look at this as a weekly. Continues in that breakout area. So not much movement, 0.04%, 0.4%. So that looks good. Similar action in technology. Maybe building a shelf here as the 10-day moving average moves up to support it. Look at our semiconductors, pretty flat today. We looked at AMD, broke out the other day, still looks good today. NVIDIA got a little bit of a bounce, almost 1%. Taiwan Semiconductors pulling back further, but it did bounce towards the end. Excelis doesn't look too good. Applied Materials in the buy zone, kind of hanging out here. Let's see if it gets more buying volume here. It's been kind of low after a couple of big selling days. Not much going on our travel, jets. Although Booking.com, I believe, had a, looks like it's working with a kind of a cup. Maybe it's building a handle here. Just see if got some pretty good volume today. So see if travel starts to build out up about 0.5%. Industrials had a slight pullback. Building materials continues to hang out, had a pullback and then bounce back at the end of the day. Mining and metals, with gold and silver popping, continues to strengthen over here. Got a double bottom base after a cup with a handle. 54.17 would be the buy area. And our home builders, looks like I was building a shelf after a pretty big move. Looks like a double bottom. And things to look out for, though, are the number of gaps. 1, 2, 3 gaps. And is this an exhaustion gap? That's the one thing to look out for. Positive is if it can hold the bottom of this gap as it kind of stretches out here. So that's kind of look at our home builders. Let's take a look where the big money was flowing today. First, let's take a look at Palantir. Uses AI for a lot of defense contracting. So got a nice cup. Not sure if you call this with a handle, but we got a nice cup pattern, and it broke out here, and now we got to pull back, and this would be more like the handle developing over here. So we'll see if we get some more buying activity from professional money managers, and then it gets back into this blue area. So it's something to keep our eyes on. Roku really had a big move today, up almost 9%, 133% volume increase. Look at this volume, just amazing. But here are some signs. If you were looking at the stock before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 day of selling, 5, 6 days of buying to 1 day of selling. And now it's just hit a new high in the relative strength line. It's beats 98% of other stocks compared to the S&P 500. Looks like their losses are supposed to be reduced. This company is based in Oakland, California. We're going to look at another company based in Oakland, California in a second here. Look at ELF. Got some pretty good comments from an analyst saying they believe that they're going to beat their earnings estimates again. So huge volume today, reacting to that analyst's opinion. And we'll just see if it can continue working on its breakout. I just continue watching it. There's a number of blue bars here. Some definitely red bars to concerned about, but we'll see if this is a double bottom. If you were going off the double bottom, that would be 112.57 and definitely surpassed it today. Look at Amazon. Popped up in the buy zone over here. It's just kind of percolating here. It's went up 0.67%. Some pretty good volume today. 41% earnings increase in 2024. Seems to be a lot of volume from the people at Amazon I've talked to. A lot of volume picking up as we head towards the holidays. Cocoa, which you can find in Costco, Vita Coco, coconut oil milk energy drink. It moved quite higher, then had a big pullback. A lot of volume in this today. I would just continue watching this. Once again, this looks like a double bottom. If so, it's kind of broken out of that. It would have been 2804. Would have been the area to try down for size. Said we would take a look at Carpenter Technology. This has been a leader for a long time. 231% earnings increase next year. We've got some buying down here, number of blue lines, and then today we got a gigantic move as it moved up. Manufactures and distributes specialty metals, including cobalt, nickel, titanium, chromium, and iron scrap. So we could take a look back on a weekly basis at a double bottom over here, cleared it, had a little bit of a pullback and then moved higher, pulled back again, got a cup, followed with another cup, and just moved higher. Relative strength is 97%, and it's got a blue dot for weekly moving to a new high. It's not a new high on a daily, but it's getting pretty close. Just a hair's breadth under it. So moving on. Cadra Holdings continues moving up. Critical condition protection for those working in and around hazardous or life-threatening situations. Huge volume today as it broke out of on the shelf pattern, which I continue to love. We looked at Shopify. Take a quick look at Shopify. Huge gap up here. Another gap up here. Continues to move higher on the positive news. Huge volume. Domino's Pizza. Got a massive buying over here. Been kind of consolidating, pulled back a little bit after it tried to move higher. Massive move today. Looking for 15% earnings increase this year, another 9% next year. And look at this on a monthly. I guess this has outperformed even Apple, almost most stocks on the market. Domino's on an all-time leader list has continued to outperform. Whether it does so in the future, you need to do your own due diligence, see if this is right for you. In software, Monday had a big sell-off here when the breakout in Gaza started happening, and now it's working on the right side. Look at all this volume, all this buying volume. 2024 earnings are supposed to increase 35%. It's profitable. It's currently made a $1.46 estimate this year. Appfolio, another software company, property management and legal industries, kind of bouncing around. Had some big volume, but kind of sold off towards the end, up 0.81%. And after hours, it continued up more. Urban Outfitters had a big sell-off, so definitely be careful on this one. Let's see, I wonder BRBR, see if that'll come up. Bell Ring Brands, ready to drink protein shakes, powders, and nutrition bars. Had a big move last week, gapped up and closed near its high, gapped up another day, had a slight pullback, and now is continuing up. Huge amount of buying here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the last 6 days. Finally, we got Air. Provides engine and airframe parts and maintenance. It's kind of bouncing back and forth. Here we got tried to go up once, twice, and third time's the charm. We'll just look at a couple of issues on the downside. Broadcom tried to move higher and sold off about 3%. Pretty big volume here. 3 big volume days out of 4. That's something to watch out for. iRobot. Wow, look at that move down nearly 18%, a little over 17%. Massive volume and gapped up last week. Closed on the high, and now it's got a big sell-off. It's trying to bounce back a tiny bit after hours, but that's certainly troubling. Zscaler was up earlier and closed down, but it's all within pattern. We've got some big volume, but I would say there's equal number of buyers and sellers. Continue to kind of watch that. See what CrowdStrike did, which has been the leader in this area. Looks like that pretty similar. Victory Capital is not claiming any victories today. Down pretty heavily 2 days in a row. Got 3 days of pretty heavy selling. Futu Chinese brokerage company. Pretty heavy selling here. I looked at Li Auto for a while. It's trying to move up here and is pulling back. So let's kind of take a look at some issues I've been looking at. Microsoft is up 0.31% today. That's some pretty good volume, not above average, but pretty good volume. Had a breakout over here, 94 relative strength, trying to move into new high grounds. We'll just see if it can get some more volume behind it. Facebook Meta, we had been looking at this kind of a tight base. It stayed around 300. The yield came off. I felt it would move up. Moved up to 338. I was pulling back to the 10-day moving average. We'll see if it pulls back to the 20. It's actually below the 10-day moving average right now. Volume started to pick up on selling end today as it closed on the low for the day. Kava, really tried to move higher today and then sold off. Sellers came in, closed on the low, closed right about it. It's looks like the 20-day moving average right about there. So it kind of looks like it's trying to form a shelf pattern here. We'll just kind of continue to watch this. Earnings are not due till February 28th. Elite Bio, we had them on the show when they were at 22. They ran up here, had a big sell-off earlier, but it kind of bounced right into this pattern. Like I was saying last week, has this triangle pattern. We'll just have to see if it resolves its way on the downside or on the upside. I like it when it sells off and investors come in to prop it up. It's happened several times over here. And we got the 50-day moving average. This is where a lot of professional money managers like to buy stocks. It's rising to support it. So keep an eye on it, definitely. GLSI tried to move higher today and then sold off on about 4% as it moved above its 200-day moving average. Kind of low volume, which you want to see on a down tick. Had a number of buying days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We looked at Zscaler and CrowdStrike, and that's all we got for today's show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll definitely have a little more education tomorrow. Hope everybody has a great day, and let's keep chugging along, keeping this economy going. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Have a great day.